Hello friends, welcome to Block Thrasher Daily Morning Update. Block Thrasher is your number one source for cryptocurrency news, commentary, analysis, research, and education. We've got a great show for you today. This show is geared specifically for those who are new to the space. Obviously, we've had a ton of people flooding in this current bull market. I keep hearing friends saying, yeah, everybody at work is talking about cryptocurrency and I need to know and understand more. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you how to research and evaluate cryptocurrency projects like a pro. How to go out and find the information that you need to know to make good and wise investment decisions. Because there's a lot of uncertainty out there, and there's a lot of misunderstanding, and a lot of people who just are simply feeling overwhelmed. Now the way that this sort of works is it's going to be like that in the beginning. You might feel like you're drowning in a sea of complex words like what does decentralized mean, and people are talking about hashing and all kinds of different terminology, DeFi, CeFi, what is this stuff, liquidity pools, what does it mean to stake and proof of work. It can go on, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. It's really not that complicated. Most things are fairly simple. It's pretty quick and easy to grasp what you need to grasp, but I am here to help you do that as quickly as you possibly can and as easy as you possibly can. The whole purpose of what I set out here to do with Block Thrasher is to make things quick and easy, and so the tagline is shattering the complexities of crypto. That's what Block Thrasher is about, and that's what I'm going to help you with today. All right, today is February 20th, and it is a phenomenal day for crypto. It seems like not every day, but almost every day of late, it's just been more and more exciting as things are just taking off in the cryptocurrency space. In fact, I would say that today the market is even pharaonic in nature. Pharaonic. Yes, that is the word of the day. As I mentioned a couple days ago, we will be introducing a new word every single day to our audience to help build our vocabulary. Pharaonic. What does pharaonic mean? Pharaonic is the best way to remember it is to think of Pharaoh, right? It is of or relating to or characteristic of a pharaoh. So that's the number one primary meaning. But it is also used to speak of enormous in size or magnitude. And the gains that we have been seeing within the cryptocurrency space with Bitcoin and all the other top coins is pharaonic. It is enormous in size or magnitude. I think many people expected that Bitcoin would hit $50,000 and beyond, obviously, but the speed with which it is happening has been exciting to watch and a little bit of a surprise, I am sure, to some. Let's jump into our market overview and not waste any time. Let's take a look at cryptocurrency prices very quickly here. What is happening at the moment? Now, Bitcoin is up 8% in the last 24 hours. Yes. It has hit $57,000, breaking all-time new high records again last night. Ethereum is up 4.5% at $2,000.17. Binance Coin, we saw yesterday, maybe it was the night before, just took off like a rocket. It went to the moon and landed itself in spot number 3 in terms of market cap. Unbelievable. Now, it is actually down 1.7% in the last 24 hours at $281. But I tell you what, it's just cooling off steam a little bit. I mean, after a rise like that, I think it was up at least 50% at one point, maybe even 60% or more. For the week, doing incredibly well. Let's talk about Polkadot. Polkadot is up 16.67%, now $39.04. Cardano took off overnight, as was sort of something that I was expecting. When you're seeing Bitcoin rise so much, and something like Binance and even Polkadot was going, when is Cardano going to kick in? And it did. Up 20% in the last 24 hours. It has broke past the $1 barrier as well, which is exciting. Is now $1.11 currently. This is kind of fun to see. Tether has actually been pushed down to number 6, which I normally just take it out of the top 10 in the coin market cap anyway, because it's a stable coin. I mean, so it has a market capitalization of $34 billion or whatever. Great, but it's kind of like who cares? I mean, it's not a totally who cares, because obviously looking at Tether can tell you, all right, people are trying to pull out of Bitcoin or whatever, out of the cryptos into that stablecoin for now, because they might, their sentiment might be that the market's going to drop a little, or the inverse, where you could see a big influx of capital coming into Tether because it's the entryway to then buy other cryptos and that sort of thing. So it can tell you some. I mean, it's useful information, but not really a crypto, right? I mean, a stable coin. XRP. Now, XRP actually is in the news today. We have another article about that. I want to look at that. Might as well just jump over and do that right now. But XRP has been pushed down to number 7 as the other coins have risen. XRP is just holding steady. But once again, it's interesting because what we've seen with XRP is when the initial news came out about the SEC presenting charges that Ripple had basically sold an unregistered security in the form of XRP to finance its company and stuff like that. That was very negative for the entire market. And so this whole thing that's going on with XRP could be positive or negative, and definitely something to watch. It could be positive or negative for the entire market, but especially for XRP. XRP dropped when that news came out. It just plummeted, but then we started to see it started to slowly build back and rebuild, and it's as if a lot of people aren't aware, or they just don't care about what's going on with the SEC, or they think it's going to go in a positive way, and it could. Here's a story from a former chair of the SEC by the name of Mary Jo White, and she is saying that the SEC's case against Ripple and XRP is dead wrong, legally and factually. So very interesting. As Ripple squares up for battle against the U.S. Security and Exchange Commission, SEC, former SEC Chair Mary Jo White is coming to Ripple's defense. In an interview with Fortune magazine, White, who served as a 31st Secretary Chair from 2013 to 2017, reveals that she is not convinced that the SEC lawsuit against Ripple, which accuses the firm of selling unregistered securities in the form of XRP, has merit. She says there's no way to sugarcoat it. They're dead wrong, legally and factually. Wow, that's pretty. That's not like. There's no uncertainty there in her voice. She's quite certain with the language there, isn't she? They're dead wrong, legally and factually. So quite interesting. She also says the timing of the lawsuit reads as suspicious to White, who notes that the case was filed as many senior SEC officials, including former chair Jay Clayton, were on their way out, though the allegations within the suit date back all the way to 2012. So here she says, quote, "As a former U.S. attorney and SEC chair, you know that when it takes that long to figure out a case, you probably shouldn't be bringing it. It's not something I would do walking out the door," which I think is a great point. It's sort of like drop this here and run. We're not going to actually fight this fight, but we're going to start it. I don't know. Definitely interesting. Ultimately, White is convinced that the main victims of the lawsuit thus far have been investors. She makes a good point here. She's saying that this isn't really hurting Ripple Labs. Obviously, it could if they end up in jail or in prison. But who it hurt was the holders of XRP, and there was a 15 billion amount, and the number that was lost, market cap that was lost for XRP holders was 15 billion. Now, when we're talking about XRP, there's a lot of other issues that come into play here. I mean, some of the bigger concerns for me is the amount of money. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars that the founders have pulled out, basically, through XRP, and for themselves, just for their own betterment. And it's sort of there's a lack of decentralization there. There's a lot of other issues, and I'm not going to dive deep into that right now. We've touched on it before. I might talk about it at another time, but I've always steered clear of XRP for these reasons, for the potential that it was an unregistered security, and also for other reasons beyond that. So, do your own research and dig deep into it. I'm going to talk about how you can do that a little bit later today in this episode. Going back to the market, XRP 56 cents, Litecoin $239, up 4% in the last 24 hours. Chainlink up 6% at $36.04. Now Dogecoin has been sort of Uniswap just took off, 37% increase in the last 24 hours. It is now at $28.29. It had hit $29, which obviously was an all-time high for it as well. I'm pretty sure. Uniswap looking very, very, very good, in spite of the fact that Ethereum transactions have been off the charts. Some of the fees for Uniswap trades have been in the $50 and $60 range over the last few days. And just to send a transaction, if you use a high gas on Ethereum, has been like $30. And so, some of that's prohibitive for sure. There's, and I think that's one of the reasons why we've seen Binance Coin and some of its alternative platforms. We were looking at PancakeSwap yesterday, very, very much a clone, very similar, pretty much exact copy of Uniswap, but running on the Binance Smart Chain. I think that's part of the reason we've seen Binance do so phenomenally well this last week, and probably will continue to see that happen in the future, I would imagine. Well, that covers it for our market overview. Good news here. Microstrategy completed its debt offering on Friday, and Microstrategy had the expectation that they were going to raise something like $600 million, I think it was. Yeah, there it is, $600 million. But instead, they raised a considerable amount more. They actually raised $1.03 billion, which means that they will now be buying $2,000 per second for a time of Bitcoin. The proceeds will be used to buy Bitcoin at the rate of about $2,000 per second, according to a statement by Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy CEO, detailing the process of previously buying Bitcoin. So this is going to bring some good upward pressure on the market as well, at least in terms for Bitcoin, and it's just another example of mass adoption occurring in institutional investors coming in. So, can Bitcoin hit $10 million? I know people have talked about $1 million Bitcoin, but $10 million? Wow, that seems like quite a bit, doesn't it? Well, a very, very smart individual, the CEO of Binance, nicknamed CZ, because his name is Changpeng Zhao or something like that, that's hard to say, explains how the price of Bitcoin could even go as high as $10 million. He says yes. In an interview on Friday, February 19th, Binance co-founder and CEO Changpeng Zhao, aka CZ, explained how the price of Bitcoin has gotten to this level and how it could go much higher. His comments came during an interview with Bloomberg TV, and when he asked if there might be some speculative froth in the latest price movements, he said something that I've been saying for a while, and basically it's this: I definitely think this is just a reflection of how mainstream Bitcoin has become, and I think we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg, to be honest. And I would agree with him completely. People talk about us being in a bubble, and it certainly could be a bubble. Bubbles happens in markets. That's just a fact over time. Bubbles happens in the real estate market. It happens in every type of commodities market. It just happens. Different things occur that create bubbles. However, when markets are new, and this is a new market, this is a new asset class, cryptocurrency is new, there is the possibility that there's such an influx of new people coming in, especially when regulatory concerns have been sort of pushed aside and institutional investors are coming in. And these institutional investors, for instance, typically are coming in and buying crypto and putting it into their portfolios to hold for the long term. They're not necessarily trading it. And then some of this is even going into retirement funds and such. So the point being is that we could see an incredible increase in the total market, right? Total market capitalization of cryptocurrency could double or triple or quadruple, and it's still such a small market that it could just go there and stay there, or go there and continue to go beyond. It's nowhere near, like well-established markets like the equities or the real estate market, for instance. It's mature, right? So you're not going to have a doubling of the number of houses in the United States built in the next year or two, or the value even going into it. It's a fixed thing, right? So everybody who, what I mean is not that the doubling wouldn't occur of the people that are wanting to purchase homes, right? It's not like we're going to double the population, or there's going to be twice the market that there once was. This is what I'm trying to say. Whereas when you have a very small market that only a very small percentage of people are involved in, when it's 1% of the population, even if it goes to 10%, you could have a 10x. If it goes to 20%, you know what I'm saying? So when we get to the point that you have something more along the lines of 50 to 60% of every U.S. citizen has some crypto and is involved in this space, then we might be kind of sort of hitting a max point where we can't see that same kind of phenomenally sustained growth, right? You might still see, the market will go up and down. There'll be growth, of course, but this is sort of the argument. I think this is what CZ is getting at a little bit here. So then when asked how far could the price of Bitcoin go, he replied, right now we just passed the previous peak just by a little bit. It's only 2.5x right now, and that's true because we were at close to 20-something thousand in 2017 when Bitcoin hit its previous all-time high, and now it's at 50, getting close to 60 now, which would be close to 2.5 times. So right now the fundamentals are much, much stronger than 3 years ago. Agree with that, absolutely. We see a lot more users, a lot more institutions coming in. We see DeFi taking off, and there's a lot more activity now in this industry than 3 years ago. He also said, from the users numbers, we see, I believe the first time I talked with you guys on either in this channel, we were seeing all-time highs of 300,000 registered new registered users per day, and now with sustained above that peak, sustained on a day-to-day basis. So this is incredible. We're seeing all-time 300,000 new registered users per a day. So Binance is seeing 300,000 new users. See, that's what I'm talking about. There's just so many people that can come in. I mean, at a rate of, and this isn't just in the USA, this globally, right? I mean, Binance is a global exchange. You know, it originally started in China, I believe, and based out of Asia, and you know, obviously they've moved their headquarters. But and there's Binance US, which isn't even available in every state yet, but in many. And to see, it is the largest centralized exchange though, and to see 300,000 new registered users every single day. This is incredible, right? This is intense. So then he got onto the price. What about the price target? And so this is what CZ said. He said, this is the thing about crypto. There's no fair value. You just got to represent how much wealth. If you look at the market, only 11 listed companies have announced they're holding cryptocurrencies. And if you look at individual holders, I think we're reaching somewhere around 1% adoption globally. Wow, because that's kind of what I was just guesstimating. So, but he's looked at the numbers. Right around, 1%. That's just nothing, right? So I think he says that that's probably somewhere around 100 to 150, maybe $200 million users in crypto right now. So obviously a long ways to go. So he says, I think for Bitcoin, we're seeing somewhere between 100 and 200 million users right now. So with that user base, you have value. You have value to that group of people. With price predictions, it's really, really difficult. I don't know, 1 million, 10 million, very hard to tell. So he just kind of threw it out there, obviously, just 1 million, 10 million. The numbers are there. It's not outside the realm of possibility, obviously. So moving forward, I've got two more news items that I want to bring to you today, just really, really quickly. The IMS is asking everyone to join to just get along regarding crypto. It's funny. You may not be old enough to remember, or you might be, depending on who you are. But if you are, you remember the Rodney King riots that happened in Los Angeles in the 90s, and you know, it was a huge story. You go back and check it out if you want to. But Rodney King ended up making this statement that sort of became famous, which was like, "Can we all just get along?" And so when I saw this headline, it made me thought of that. It just made me kind of laugh. But this is actually just someone within the IMF who wrote a blog post that, and in this blog post, it was calling for central banks to fine-tune their relations with private initiatives. Now, this is why I wanted to talk to you about this today. Nothing about the story is really that remarkable, but there's something kind of funny about it here, and basically what they're saying is that, you know, look, there's always been private currencies that have existed, and they've co-functioned with central bank digital currencies, and so the IMF blog post tackles, what does it say, one of the looming questions of digital currency age: how central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, which is something we're going to be hearing a lot more, so you should know that term, CBDC. It just means central bank digital currency. So how can central bank digital currencies and privately issued crypto coexist? You know, and the funny thing the funny thing about this whole argument is that this is what you need to know, and this is what most people in the United States don't know. The dollar, the US dollar that sits right now, the Federal Reserve is what it's called, right? It's a private currency. It is not a government-issued currency. The Federal Reserve is a chartered institution, not that much unlike the post office is. At one time, prior to 1913, it was the Treasury of the United States that actually issued, and constitutionally speaking, it is enumerated within the Constitution that it is the Treasury that is to be responsible for the coinage of the country. But it is, the Federal Reserve was created in 1913, and you can read about the history of this in numerous books, including one is called The Creature from Jekyll Isle, and you should get educated about it, because it was a group of very wealthy banker and investor types of men that met at Jekyll Island, and that created and formed the privately held Federal Reserve. And this is the way the central banks work. They're made up of member banks where there's chairman and there's a board and all this sort of thing. They are not elected. They are not the chairman of the Federal Reserve is appointed by the President of the United States. But other than that, they do not answer to the Congress or the Senate or the President. And it's basically a cabal. Okay, it's basically there's a built-in profit mechanism. They earn interest. The Federal Reserve banks earn a built-in interest on all the money that's created, right? And so, yeah, what they're talking about is they want to be the sole. They want the monopoly, right? That's what a central bank digital currency is. It's a monopolistic, centralized entity, one entity with immense power to control the economy. Of course you're going to want to maintain that and keep that. Now the argument becomes, is that what works best, or is that not what works best? Now the thing about cryptocurrency is it's in opposition to that. Instead of it being a centralized authoritarian type of structure, it's a democratized, governed in many cases by the people. Even with Bitcoin doesn't have a really great governance system built in, and a lot of the more modern cryptos are solving that problem, and some are doing it better than others. I believe Cardano is just off the charts, doing a phenomenal job with that, and it's going to be incredible with its Catalyst system that it has. It's an application where you can go in and you can vote and you can help. You as users, as the community, in a democratic, fair, and transparent way, we can determine what's going to happen with that. That's not how it works with the Federal Reserve. So, I mean, it's private. The Federal Reserve is private. Everything that's done there is private. I mean, that's why there's been calls to have it audited for the longest time, which of course never really truly happens. Nobody knows. We just don't know. It's a black box, right? Like that's not the term I'm looking for, but it's a vault. It's locked. It's got what goes on behind. It's a closed door system. We don't know. Like, we don't know how many dollars are actually created. Anyway, I've said enough about that. But this also might be a little bit of an indication that some there within the IMF are simply saying, look, we can't stop this. And we're going to have to figure out how to exist side by side. So we'll see. I mean, obviously the biggest concern for the central banks and the IMF types around the world is that they can continue to get their funding through taxation, right? That's what it all boils down to at the end of the day, and to wield as much power and influence and control as possible to make sure that money goes where they think it should go and to whom they think it should go, etc. So, all right, so last story of the day. Chainlink integrates with Denal FinTech to support retail Bitcoin payments. Just another really great mass adoption story here. Chainlink, obviously, as you know, has been doing phenomenally well. It is at number 9 currently, $36, and they are taking steps here with Denal FinTech, a virtual asset payment service provider, to bring the commercializing of Bitcoin payments in South Korea. It will be leveraging the Paycoin wallet, while the oracles will provide access to real-time market prices when converting Bitcoin to Paycoin's digital currency PCI. So Chainlink doing what Chainlink does well as an oracle. It is going to help people in South Korea use Bitcoin as a payment system, and they're going to do the real-time, processing so that the merchants can convert that into the fiat currency that they need in order to pay their taxes and whatever it is. So just more good news for Chainlink, more good news for the space as a whole. All right, moving on. I promised you that I would talk about how to research and evaluate crypto like a pro. In the Facebook group, we're getting a lot of questions, and this is helping me to recognize that there are many people coming into the space that really need some just basic information to understand things, like how do I even figure, what do these terms mean? I use them often, and people may not know what they are, and so part of what I want to do is help educate and get you guys to the place where you can understand and do your own research. So what I'm talking about here is how to research and evaluate cryptocurrency projects, right? So a lot of people are being introduced. They're seeing these memes about Doge. They're having people talk to them about it at work. They see it in the news and they're like, wow, these incredible gains are being made, and I want to get in and I'm going to make some money and I'm going to throw $100 or $1,000 and I'm going to 10x it. And some people have done that successfully and they're super, super happy. And then there's other people. There's a whole bunch of people that bought Dogecoin at 8 cents when it was at the high. And what is Doge at now? Doge is at 5 cents, right? So they've lost instead of gaining, and they just don't have any basic understanding. So let's talk about that. How can you research and evaluate cryptocurrency projects? So number one is to jump onto a site like coinmarketcap.com, or this is digitalcoinprice.com. Now, these sites list all of the cryptocurrencies and their market cap and where they sit in terms of market cap. And every day I cover this and I go over this in the market overview. And so I just want to explain a little bit about what does that mean. Number one, when you're researching and evaluating crypto project, look at the coin economics, look at the market cap. But why? What does that mean? What does market capitalization mean? So market capitalization just simply means this. Every cryptocurrency has an amount of coins that are circulating in supply. Now, some have a total supply, which is important, and we're going to talk about that in a second, and some have an infinite supply and are inflationary. So those are the coin economics that you want to look at. But what market cap is when you take the total supply, the circulating supply of that coin. So let's talk about Bitcoin as an example. Bitcoin has 18,633,931 Bitcoin in the circulating supply. So that means that's the number of Bitcoin that are out in the market. Now, some of Bitcoin's supply was lost because people forget their private keys, or they had an old computer and they had 1,000 Bitcoin or 10,000 Bitcoin on it, and it wasn't worth much at the time, so they just kind of chucked it in the trash, and that Bitcoin's lost forever. So the 21 million, so Bitcoin has a total max supply that is 21 million. There will never be more than 21 million Bitcoin. But the fact of the reality is that there also won't be 21 million because many of them have been lost. And probably even some more in the future might be if people don't properly back up their keys and keep that information, know where it is. But anyway, the point being is to get to market capitalization, to get what the market capitalization is, you take the circulating supply and you multiply that by the price, right? So if Bitcoin's circulating supply is 633,931. Let's just do this on the calculator right now in real time. We'll go 18,633,931 times the current price of $57,100. That equals $1.06 trillion. So we've been talking about how Bitcoin just hit $1 trillion market cap. And this is just the way it works. With Ethereum, you can do the same thing. You take the circulating supply and multiply it by the price, and that. So what this does is it shows you which cryptocurrency projects have pulled in the greatest amount of capital and the greatest amount of money. And so it's a metric to look at which ones are doing the best. These are basically the projects listed in order of their total value, and which it relates to whether they're capturing market share, they're capturing network effect, they're bringing in users. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. I mean, there could be a whole bunch of different reasons why these coins are where they are in the market cap, and we're going to talk about what some of those reasons are in how to do your research. But ultimately, it's about getting people on board. That's the number one thing. That's what gives anything value, any currency, anything value, is that people are using it, that people want it. It's that demand, right? So, and then that has to be balanced with like some of the economics of the coin, supply and demand, right? So for instance, if everybody wants it, but there's an unlimited supply, and so there's no shortage of supply, and there's plenty of demand, it's just, you can just get all you want, then it has no value as well, right? So that is also an important factor. So that is how what coin market capitalization means, right? And so the same thing is done with companies, and we can evaluate companies that way, and we can see how well they're doing and that sort of thing. So going back to how to research, look at the coin economics, right? Look at the market cap, look at the total supply. Let's just do that really quickly here. If you come to digitalcoinprice.com, let's click on Bitcoin. You just click on Bitcoin and look at some of the details about the coin. It will show you the maximum supply and the circulating supply. So for those of you who are just listening, it shows that the maximum supply is 21 million Bitcoin, right? Now on this site, CoinMarketCap would be another one. CoinGecko is another one. You can dig in and get more information about the economics of the coin and all kinds of other information about the coin. You can look at the chart. You can look at historical, like if we click on chart, it'll give us, you know, a chart that shows pricing. You can look at the historical pricing. You can look at all-time highs. You can look at all kinds of different, there's the historical data there that I was looking for, and you can see other information such as when it was created and that sort of thing. So, you know, if we take, here's one of the most important things to look for when it comes to coin economics. Let's look at Dogecoin just for a minute because it's been in the news so much, and its economics is one of its problems, right? If we look at it, it says the circulating supply of Dogecoin is 128,455,000,000. But if you look at max supply, there's nothing stated about max supply. And that's because it has no maximum supply. So it's an inflationary coin. Ethereum, interestingly enough, is the same. It can go to infinity. So more and more and more and more and more coins are created. In the case of Dogecoin, if you dig deeper into the economics of it, it is 10,000 coins per block, and the blocks happen every minute. So that would be some of the research that you'd want to do. If it is an inflationary coin, how big is the inflation? Even if it's a coin that has a total market cap that's going to like a fixed supply one day, it still might be insanely inflationary in the next year or two. And that could affect the price, right? Because as more coins become available, if the demand doesn't keep up with the amount of coins that are being released, then the price is going to go down. So it's just important. All right, so look at the coin economics, look at the market cap, look at the supply, figure out as much as you can about that. If it's being mined, find out how many coins are mined on a daily basis to look at what the inflation rate is like. If it's a proof of stake, do the same. You know, they're all over the place. Some coins have a 15% inflation until they reach total supply. Some have a 6% inflation. Just important information that can help you make an informed decision. The next thing to look at would be the team. Who are the founders? Who are the supporters? So we're on the Dogecoin page of Digital Coin Press. We can click on the team tab, and we can see that Jackson Palmer is the co-founder, and we can find his LinkedIn information, his GitHub repository, and then we see Billy Marcus and Max K and Patrick Lahr. So we've got access to who the team members are. Now you can also go to almost every coin's website and look at their team there. They're going to have an About Us section, and you can see who the team is, and you can evaluate. Do they know? Oh, I just realized, I'm so sorry, I have not been sharing the screen with you guys as I've been talking about this, but that's okay. You can see it now. This is the stuff that I'm talking about here. There's the chart, there's the team, the volume, market capitalization, max supply, circulating supply. All of this information is on that website, digitalcoinprice.com. You can check that out, or go to coinmarketcap.com or coingecko.com, or there's a number of them. All right, so getting back to the slide, which you were not seeing on the video, but you were getting it on audio, of course. Here we are. Coin economics team. Who are the founders? Who are the supporters? Sometimes there'll be an advisory board as well, and that can just give you information about where they're at, where they sit. What, do they know what they're doing? Do they know what they're talking about? Are they trustworthy people? So look at the team. Number 3 would be look at the technology. The technology would include things like, what is its use case? Is it reaching a niche market? So an example would be Uniswap. Uniswap is an exchange. It's a decentralized exchange. Uniswap has become one of the most used. It is the #1 decentralized exchange, and it just recently surpassed, I think it was $100 billion in a daily transaction volume or something, which is massive and huge. Uniswap has a use case, absolutely, definitely has a use case, and the Uniswap coin has done very well, right? So look at the platform, look at the technology, look at, you're evaluating Cardano, you're evaluating Polkadot, you're evaluating Dogecoin. Okay, Polkadot, Cardano, Ethereum, ETH 2.0 coming out. These type of tokens, BNB, they're platforms that have decentralized apps. So a lot of things are going to be built on top of them. When those things are built on top of them, when the developers come in and build that project, there are processing fees that are in the native token. So if it's Binance Smart Chain, it's the BNB token. If it's Cardano, it's ADA. If it's Polkadot, it's DOT. So these developers have to raise money to create the apps, to interact, everything that happens on those apps. So if it's a good platform, right, that developers are going to be attracted to because they want to build a decentralized app on top of it, that's going to bring value to that platform and to that coin, because there's going to be transactions occurring and there's going to be fees that are occurring, and all of that is going to help lift that project and lift that price up. And so you want to look at that. Does it have smart contracts? What are the programming languages that are used within the smart contracts? Is that going to attract a lot of developers, or a certain type of a developer, or certain types of applications? So Ethereum has its own smart contract language, which is Solidity. Binance Smart Chain has copied that. They also use Rust and WebAssembly. WebAssembly is big with Polkadot, which is good. It's a very fast and effective language. You can look into that. Cardano's got Plutus, which is a Haskell specialized language created just for smart contracts. It's going to be easy for people that aren't as technologically savvy in the financial world to build smart contracts. That could open up a lot of doors. Are they using a type of, that type of language is a formally verifiable language, which is used for applications where you need to have a certain higher level of certainty. So Cardano has attracted Ben Gortzel and Singularity Net with the AGI token to its platform, because if you're going to be doing artificial intelligence, that could be like critical applications where you have to be certain that the code is going to work the way you think it's going to work and function the way you want it to function. You're going to need a language like that. So this is the technology side. You can dig really deep into that, and you can evaluate whether this platform and the technology that it's providing is going to be superior, is going to open up doors, is going to attract more developers and applications, and that will actually function really well. And all it takes is one super successful dApp. Like somebody comes along and creates a Twitter on Cardano, let's just say, and it just works well, and it goes viral, and it takes off to bring immense value to that platform. Same could happen with Polkadot. Same could happen with Binance Smart Chain. I mean, essentially that is what happened with Uniswap and Ethereum, SushiSwap and Ethereum, PancakeSwap and Binance token chain, right? The other thing to look at in the technology would be governance. Governance is going to be something that becomes critical moving forward. A lot of projects suffer greatly because they don't have a good governance system. They didn't think in advance to figure out a way to make sure that when changes need to be made to that project, that they could be made. And so we've seen hard forks with Bitcoin and contentious splits, right? We saw just the other day in the news, OKX is delisting Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin SV because they're saying they're too contentious and they're putting out disinformation, whatever the truth is regarding that. That's not my point right now. My point is being, even with Ethereum, my point is being that governance has created a lack of governance has created these problems. We had with Ethereum, we had the rollback after the DAO hack, and we had Ethereum Classic created. And so there are cryptocurrency 3.0 projects, that is the way we like to typically define them, like Polkadot and Cardano and others, that are, and Decred, interestingly enough, I haven't talked about Decred, I don't think once on this podcast or vlog yet. It's an old project, but that thought through this a long time ago, and so they're sort of a pioneer of creating a governance system, a democratic governance system that allowed in that case, I don't recall if it is a proof of stake. They were also a pioneer in a proof of stake system, and they have delegated proof of stake. But anyway, point being is they have a governance system built in, and that's actually a strong point for them. But that's something else to just look at, right? Because down the road, 5-10 years from now, that could be a huge and significant thing. Also tied in with that and connected to the governance system thing with some of these newer projects is a funding mechanism that allows for the community to say, hey, look, we want to take a certain amount of ADA or a certain amount of DOT from Polkadot, and we want to fund this project because we like the idea that they have. Let's get it out there. Let's get it done. Let's give them money for marketing. Let's get this thing. And that could result in one of those viral applications that I was talking about taking off and bringing just a lot of value to that entire ecosystem. So number 4 would be marketing capabilities. And that is also kind of connected to what I was just talking about. Some of these cryptos, they have set aside funds that from whether it's from the initial launch or whether it's from something that's taken from it's built into the economics. It goes back to the economics that I was talking about of that token. But they've set aside funds that are to be used for marketing, and then they've brought on marketing teams. So for instance, Cardano has Emergo, right? And that's also important because this circles back to something I was saying at the very, very beginning, which is at the end of the day, yes, superior technology is important. Yes, the team is important. Yes, governance and all these other things are important. But what actually brings value is adoption and that network effect that is built by people wanting to take part in it and getting excited about it, and people being able to do cool and exciting things. And that just brings to my mind what's happening with all this NFT stuff, the non-fungible tokens. And we're going to be seeing that on Cardano. Cardano is going to be one of the easiest platforms to create your own token. If you want to create a token, if you're an artist and you want to create an NFT and you want to sell your art, and people have been doing this of late, and I saw one headline just yesterday, I think, where some artist pulled in $900,000 for some digital piece of art that they sold as an NFT. Those types of things are going to just bring a ton of value that will propel this entire space and certain projects. So that would be number 4 that you want to look at. So we got coin economics, we got the team, we got the technology, we got marketing capabilities, and those are the things that can help you research cryptocurrency like a pro and make good decisions. Now, I will just throw this one caveat out there again about the technology. It isn't always the superior technology that wins. I've talked about this a couple of times, but we had that battle in the late 80s, early 90s, I believe it was, between Betamax and VHS with videotapes, and we've seen others battles like this too with Blu-ray and HD, DVD, and whatever. And sometimes it isn't the best technology that wins; it's what gets the mass adoption. So VHS won out in that battle, and it was because Betamax didn't listen to their users and made some mistakes and ended up faltering. So at the end of the day, that's also something to try to just evaluate which one is actually going to meet the needs and the demands of the market, of the users, and of the people within the cryptocurrency space, et cetera, et cetera. So, well, that's a wrap up for the day. As always, thank you so much for your time. Please be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, turn on notifications. Please go to blockthrasher.com, join up there. You're going to have to at least just give an email address to get the free membership to get to the content, but it's well worth it. If you like what we're doing here at Block Thrasher, you can also support us that way. $5 a month, $50 if you want to do a year, and that just helps us to create more and more and more of this type of content that I hope you're finding useful and valuable. As always, friends, remember, it's a great day to earn more crypto. Thank you. Appreciate you all. Love you. Have a great day. Bye.